figured out 20 years ago or over that they were only here to try to get rid of us as ranchers. And then I started to understand about grazing licenses. It took me a little while. I finally decided that, hey, those grazing licenses were contracts. And I understand when we make a contract with somebody that we are, the Constitution backs up contracts. If I make a contract with anyone of you and one of us break that contract, what are we going to do with it? We're going to end up in court. We've signed our contract of a certain agreement, and now we've broke it, so we're in trouble. But when we get involved as a government and sign leases and that type of thing, I understood contracts. But one of the main things I understood was the fact that they were basically, their language was cattle free by 92, no more move by 93. Does anybody understand that? What?
You got it backwards. No more move by 92, cattle free by 93.
Okay, that works. You know, when I heard that, I thought that'll never happen. But then I seen 52 of my neighbors disappear. And I just talked to people in Nevada here just the last day or two. Since 1980, the livestock industry is 1/2 of the number of cows in Nevada that we had in just 1980. In 1964, I remember that was when I was in school, and Elko County was the cattle capital of the world. That was what we took back to FFA Nice and Conference. That was we come from the cattle capital of the world, was Elko County. You know, things have really deteriorated. And let me tell you again, let's get back to the one-man stand thing. When I decided that I was paying grazing fees for somebody to manage me out of business, I said, hell no. I said no, and then I said hell no, didn't I? Why would I pay somebody to manage me out of business? And so I said no, and what I learned from that point on, I was constitutionally right. I found out that 12.5% of my grazing fees was going to pay for management, and then I found out that all of the rest of the grazing fees were supposed to come back as range improvements upon our ranches, and I found out that this endangered species, all these other wildlife things and all that, they were using all of our grazing improvements money back on theirs. So what I did is I fired the BLM. Well, when I fired the BLM, let me tell you how I did it. I did it through a constructive notice to the Bureau of, or the Solicitor's Office and the Interior Office and the State of Nevada District Office. And what did I tell them? I said, I no longer need your service as a manager over my ranch, and I'm not going to pay you for that no more. And for 20 years, I have not paid any grazing fees, and as far as I'm concerned, the BLM don't exist. So you can sort of see what kind of trouble I've been in the last 20 years. But let me tell you something. I found peace. I don't think I could have lived another 5 years under the stress that they was putting me under. I was going to meetings every few days, and the full force and effect trespass notices, and on and on and on. I mean, I got rid of all of that stuff, and I've lived for 20 years without that. But let me tell you another thing I've done. I have put range improvements on my range, and I have managed my cattle. And now my herd is, according to BLM, my herd has went from about 150 to 900 head. I mean, that's pretty darn good management, I think. And I'd say my ranch conditions are better now than by far before I became the manager. Everything is improved. For example, when the mountain burns off, and I haven't had a lot of burns because I grazed my thing, but on a good year, about 5 years ago, we had some Mexican feed. Part of that mountain burned off. What did I do? I didn't bring my cows out and say they couldn't go back for 2 years or 3 years. You know what I did? I took my whole damn herd and put up on that mountain. You know what happened? It was a browsy mountain. Then cows kept that browse down about that high. They trunked tracks all over that mountain where they hadn't been a darn cow or a deer could even get on it because of the brush and the roughness. And they made tracks. I created, helped the erosion. I browsed my brush off, and I kept my cheatgrass down, and I raised cattle there. Not because of their money, but because of my management. Okay, the proper form of government. I want you to look at the bottom and we the people. And then we put, we the people of the 13 original colonies. We fought the Revolutionary War. And we made the United States of America. Remember why we did that. We needed to gain our independence. We needed independence because we had a government that was basically had unlimited power over us, and they were telling us exactly what to do and how to do it. And what did we come to America for? What did our pilgrim people come here for? Didn't they come here for freedom and liberty? And haven't they been here for about 200 years? What happened to their freedom and liberty? They did not have their freedom and liberty even after 200 years of struggling in America. And so they fought the strongest army in the world, the British Army. And what did they do? They whipped them. And they gained their liberty and freedom at that point. Now, when they created the Constitution, they definitely was aware of what they had done. And they had definitely aware of the last 200 years where they'd been. And they did not want to go back there anyway. And so they struggled and fought and figured out a Constitution in the United States that was very inspired by our Heavenly Father in that process. And they created the Constitution of the United States of America. And how did they create it? They created the Constitution, a Republican form of government, granting limited power to the United States government, reserving all other powers to the states and to the people. 3 branches of government, legislature, executive, legislation, and jurisdiction. They're trying to be able to control what kind of government had, and so the government didn't get a lot of power. We had 2 different kinds of land at that time. We had territorial land, and we had 13 sovereign states. Now, let me talk about territory. In Article 4 of the Constitution, it tells us about territory. It tells us that the United States Congress has power to dispose of it and has unlimited power to make all rules and regulations concerning territories of the United States. Territories is land that we either conquered or we bought from some other nation. And so territories become not part of the United States Constitution, only in that sense that it did allow Congress to have that unlimited power, but they didn't have full the people who lived in a territory didn't have the Constitution, as I'm going to talk about it today. Okay, so now we understand how we got what we got. Now let me tell you what we got out of this process. We got sovereign states. I don't know too much about Wyoming in the date. I know Utah became a sovereign state in 1896. Nevada became a sovereign state in 1864. Now I understand by the Constitution what happened at statehood. One of the things happened at statehood is the states were brought into the United States of America, And they was brought in under as the original 13, the equal footing of the original 13 states. They had the same power, same representation, and they had boundaries. This is one thing I want you to understand. Each one of these states have a boundary, state line. Those original 13 states have boundaries. And Utah and Wyoming, Nevada has a boundary. And within that sovereign state, that boundaries there were subdivisions made. The subdivisions are the counties. In my state, the state is the outline of Nevada. The county is the outline of the state, or the outline of the county. It has boundaries. It has Nevada has political power in Congress. The county of Clark becomes a sovereign, almost like a sovereign nation. This is something that I don't think you've ever taught in schools. What do you think the people that fought the Revolutionary War was after? They was after freedom and liberty. They wasn't after a state government. They wasn't after a federal government. They were fully filled up with that. So the point that they were willing to give their life and fight the greatest army in the world. What was they trying to create? I said they wasn't trying to create a state government, did they? They was trying to create a government close to home, where we the people could rule, where we the people could make decisions, where we the people could have policing power. They didn't want the king's army to be telling them what to do, or the king's politicians to tell them what to do, or governors. They wanted to be the governor themselves. We the people wanted to be the governor. We the people wanted freedom. We the people wanted freedom to do what they wanted to do. And we had struggled for 200 years and still didn't have that. So now we have subdivisions called counties. And this is where our county commissioners come in so important. We, the people of that county, elect these county commissioners. We choose them and we put them in position. Maybe we pay them, maybe we don't. It don't matter. We do elect them and put them in that position. Now, we do that as a democracy. But let me tell you something about democracy. I learned this from my buddy right here. Democracy is, I'd have to remember, mob. Democracy is like a mob power. Let me explain democracy to you. Democracy is mob power. It is like, say somebody steals a cat or a horse down here in town, and hey, we know who stole that horse. And they run him down and they get him caught, and everybody in town comes, and somebody hollers, let's hang him. And somebody else says, let's vote on hanging him. Well, the whole town votes that they hang this guy. That's democracy. Yeah, all of you voted. Hang this son of a gun. He stole somebody's horse. He's a horse thief. Hang him. Okay. But they get him on the horse and they get it over around his neck and they get ready to kick that horse out from under him. And the county sheriff shows up. And he says, oh no, boys. He says, this is a republic form of government that we worked under. And I have been elected to be your sheriff. You pay me to be your sheriff. And let me tell you something, boys. If you hang that man, every one of you guys will hang, because I will make sure you have the trial that he should be getting, and you will all hang. So think about this a little bit. He says, you get him cut down. I will take him to the jail, and he will get his constitutional opportunity to be represented and have a fair trial with a jury, and then they'll decide if he's guilty or not. But at this point, he's not guilty. Now, do you see the difference between the republic form of government and the democracy? You understand that? Democracy is mob. This sheriff was operating under the Republican form of government. In other words, we got laws and regulations, and we got somebody delegated to exercise this government. And what government are we exercising under? We, the people of the county, has hired this sheriff to what? To protect our life, liberty, and property. That's what he's for. That's what he does. What do you think we do, hired or elected county sheriffs to do? Protect our life, liberty, and property. To uphold the laws of the state of Wyoming and the Constitution of the United States. Did you guys swear to an oath to do that? Everyone, what about it, County Commissioner? Is that what you did? You darn right you did. You did swear to write seatbelt tickets. You're not elected to be revenue makers. You're elected to protect our life, liberty, and property. And you are their governor. You're the governor of we, the people of this county. That's why we elected you. Now, in this whole process, did you hear me say anything about the federal government? Federal agents? BLM? Forest Service? Park Service? No, I didn't talk about that. That's not even part of the proper form of government. Land ownership. Did we talk? How does a BLM owning land, if you understand the Constitution? How does this endangered species thing come try to take over the land and talk about sage grouse? Why does that have to do anything here? What about, let me talk just a little, well, let me go one more step here. Okay, as I explained this, I know I might have got a little confused, but do you understand what I'm talking about on the proper form of government? I want by hands that you say, what's wrong with this form of government? Does anybody have any problem with this form of government?
It's just right.
It's just right. Has anybody else got any problem with this form of government? Do you believe this is what our founding fathers was trying to tell us?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, why don't we live it then? If we believe it, why aren't we living it? We got a damn mess all around us. Our whole nation is in a mess. We're all sort of suffering. Not because our founding fathers didn't lay out a plan. You know, every one of you guys are here trying to figure out a plan. You ladies are here to help figure out a plan. You know, our founding fathers, with the help of our Heavenly Father, already give you a plan. It was inspired. Our founding fathers studied and struggled, and they prayed, and they received answers to their prayers. And they created the Constitution of the United States of America. We do not need to be struggling trying to figure out what to do. They've already done it for us. And back to my story. When I finally fired the BLM, and I took a stand, I told you the weight went off me. And I felt like, hey, I can live again. I can start to create and better things. I can start doing my range improvements. I can buy another cow. I started to feel freedom. You know why? Because America has a great big cloud over it. A dark, dark cloud. This planet has a very dark cloud over it. We have got to set this cloud on fire and blow it up and get it out of our road so we can see this again. It comes clear to not us, just us. But the American people are needing it. Let me talk about a little bit about foreign nations. You know, for the last 230 years, how old's Davy? Davy, how old are you? 35? Well, anyway, it's been at least 235 years since this Constitution was written, and it's time that we clean it up and get back to doing what our founding fathers intended us to do.
Explain the cloud, tell them.
The cloud is, you guys all feel this and see this cloud. The cloud is the bureaucracies that are over our land. The corruption of our government. I am not anti-government. But if I want to support our Constitution. I want to support our proper form of government. I want to support our state government. I want to support our county government. I want to support my county sheriff. And I don't want this cloud of bureaucracy over it to where we can't exercise our free agencies and liberties. And we have this cloud that we've got to remove. I want to just imagine this, and I've done this on a chalkboard. I put this up on the chalkboard, and what I always wanted to do, I never got it done, but I wanted to do this. I wanted to put a sheet of fiber, real light fiber, sort of flammable fiber, and then I wanted to say how this cloud was over us. And I'd like to just strike a match to it and go shoosh, and get rid of this cloud that's in front of our Constitution, that's weighing down our nation and covering up the truths that our founding fathers. I want to talk to our county commissioners just a little bit, and when I talk to them, I'm talking to every county commissioner in the United States. You represent we the people. Not we the people of the state, not we the people of the nation, not we the people of this world. You represent we the people of this county. When you get outside of this county, you don't represent nobody. But in this county, you swore to an oath to protect their life, liberty, and property. Uphold the laws of the state of Wyoming and the Constitution of the United States. If you don't know what them things are, then you better learn, because I'll tell you what, next time they vote, they better vote you out. They better get somebody in there that does understand these things. And you don't better understand that you don't work for the federal government. You don't work for the state government. You don't even work for the county government, except for what you work for we the people. That's what you do. And anytime you represent some other organization, it's like you represent a foreign nation. Like representing Russia over here, or Mexico, or Canada. It's treason to the people of your county. Anytime you sign an MOU with a foreign agent that has nothing to do with we the people, you are in trouble. And county sheriff, it's the same with you. You're paid, and you're elected, and you're paid by we the people to uphold the laws of Wyoming and the United States Constitution. You swore to an oath that you'll protect life, liberty, and property, not of the next county, only of this county. When you go over that line, you don't have no jurisdiction or authority. When you're here, you have proper constitutional jurisdiction and authority. You have the only policing power, and you have the only arresting power. Even if an FBI man comes to your county, he does not have arresting power. He might make you think he does, and the rest of you might think he does, but he does not have arresting power in this county. That man right there is the only man that has that power. He can delegate that power only to his deputies that you, the people, pay for. He can't delegate that power to, say, a BLM ranger? No way in the world can he. If he can, you guys better sue him to start with, and you better get rid of him next election. If he signs any kind of MOU with them kind of people. Now, I want to tell you something about protecting your property. I do not expect that sheriff to do one darn thing that you're not willing to do. If you're not ready to stand on the line and protect your life, liberty, and property, don't you dare expect your sheriff to do that. Because why should he? I mean, yeah, you're petty, but why should he? If you're not convicted enough that that's right, then don't expect him to do a stand and do it alone. And don't expect him to put his deputies on the line to do it. If you got a problem, you get out there and you tell your sheriff, hey, I need some help with this problem. Let's take care of it. If I have a cow get killed out in my field or down on the road and I suspect somebody shot it, then I'm going to do all I can do to protect my property. I'm going to try to figure out who did that. I'm going to try to arrest him, whatever it is. But I'm going to call my county sheriff and say, hey, I need some help down here. That's the kind of relationship you need to have with him. And again, I honor you for your position. And you can tell I'm very serious. You do have the most powerful position in this United States of America. More so than the President of the United States, more so than his army. You have that much on your shoulders. He don't have no jurisdiction authority, neither does his army. But you do. And I honor you for that. And I hope you can understand what I'm saying to you. I want you to stop and think about this, what I'm telling you.